Access Fort Wayne offers reflections of our community. Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne are a service of the Allen County Public Library. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting organizations. For more information about creating your own television program with Access Fort Wayne, call 421-1250.
Welcome to Homelessness in Fort Wayne. We hope you're all enjoying your summer. As Alice Cooper famously said, school's out for summer. We know many of you are enjoying this extra time home with your family. As we enjoy this extra time with our families, it's important we reflect on and consider that many children in our community do not have a home to go to. Some of the children in our community don't have a place to call home. I'm Mary Joyala, and I'm with the Homeless Coalition of Fort Wayne. We're an educational nonprofit providing specialized tutoring and classes throughout Fort Wayne. We are with the Fort Wayne Area Planning Council on Homelessness, a group of organizations serving the homeless community in Fort Wayne. Joining me today are representatives from organizations across Fort Wayne serving the youth. Please introduce yourselves, the organization you represent, and tell us a little bit about the organization.
Hi, thank you, Mary Angel. I'm Roger Bell. Thank you for inviting Jeff and I. We represent SAFI, that stands for Specialized Alternatives for Families and Youth, and the Courtyard. And the Courtyard will serve young adults ages 18 to 25 in many different ways. But here's 3 ways. It'll provide safe, secure, low-cost housing. It truly they'll be able to make it a home of their own. Many opportunities will be provided, but they'll be coordinated and focused around education, independent living skills, and employment training. And thirdly, it is an intentional, innovative living experience where the young adults can build relationships and construct their own support system with community, neighborhood, and with each other. The outcome will be that they will become self-sufficient enough to pursue their future on their own. Jeff?
Excellent. Thank you for being here, Roger.
You're welcome.
I'm Jeff Lewis Safi, tenant advisor of the Courtyard. My role will be there is like a life coach, a mentor, to help these young individuals get, independent in life and, just try to get them to a place where they could be able to live independently on their own, able to help them in life to get some jobs, try to get there some careers, and, just try to get them work experience.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Mary Angel. My name is George Fields, and I am in the process of starting the Fields of Dreams Transitional House. I have been working with the homeless population for over 22-something years. I used to work for one of the largest school districts in the state of Indiana, so I know that there is a need for young youth, particularly males, and high school students who are homeless, couch surfing, or have nowhere else to go. So I'm working on my nonprofit organization called Fields of Dreams Transitional House. And thank you for having me here this morning.
Thank you for being here.
Hi, Mary Angel. I'm Frank Zerilli, Director of Wellspring Interfaith Social Services. And our program really focuses on the core of the city. Over 80% of the people who access our services live within a 2.5 mile radius of downtown Fort Wayne. And we have several programs. We have a older adult program that meets daily. Seniors 60 and up, and also people with special needs that are involved. We also have a food bank, food pantry, that does a little bit more. We try to involve those people who access that services and other services Wellspring offers. And in youth services, which are big, after school program, and right now I'll talk about later is our summer day camp that is very big. But everything we do is free. We're an interfaith organization that has strong support from Christian denominations, the Jewish Temple, the Unitarian Congregation, others. So that's a fun, nice thing about the organization. And as I said, all our services are free and very diversified. So
Thank you,
glad
Frank.
to be here.
Yes.
Good morning. I'm Denise Sandorfer. I'm the Executive Director of Vincent Village, and we've been working with homeless families in the South Central part of Fort Wayne for over 25 years. We have a transitional house called Vincent House just for homeless families. So we have 12 families, over 30 children living in our facility at any given time. And then we also own 33 houses in that area where we can move then families once they gain income into that into a home of their own. We also operate the St. Hyacinth Community Center there on Holton Avenue.
Thank you for being here, Denise. Okay. Roger, I know Safi has a new facility opening, the courtyard, as you mentioned. Could you tell us about how it serves the youth population who are aging out of the foster care, who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless?
Well, it will provide, in many ways that I mentioned a little bit earlier, opportunities for education and life skills, employment training, activities, social activities, skill building, relationship building, truly creating their own blank canvas, creating a home of their own, and interacting with community and neighborhood.
Thank you. And Jeff, would you like to add anything?
Just, it's basically, just pushing them to be, somebody in life from transition out of foster care home, and just to be, like I said earlier, to be independent, and to be confident in themselves and become an adult and just live their life.
Thank you. Yeah, I know the courtyard will be an excellent facility. It will be an excellent asset to the Fort Wayne community.
Yes.
Thank you. So for everyone, according to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, there are approximately 50,000 youth sleeping on the street in the U.S. at any given night. What does that mean for Fort Wayne? Denise?
Well, it means we've got a lot of work to do. We need to increase our collaboration, our communication. We have some of the best nonprofits in the country here working with our young people. We really need to get at the root of what some of these issues are and really the collapse of our families. And we need to get back to having employment opportunities for young people and safe places like the courtyard for them to go if their family structure is dysfunctional. But as collectively as a community, we're working very hard to address those problems.
I think a key too is identifying those youth. Many of them aren't so easily identified. They're not under a bridge or something, but they're moving around. They're staying with a friend one night and someplace else, but they have no root, no center. And I think it's important to try to identify them so you can bring resources to those who sort of get lost. They're not so easily found. And I think that's a challenge for us.
I concur with Frank here. Again, with all the years I've been working with homelessness and particularly the youth, excuse me, in a particular school corporation, I find that there are youth who are couch surfing, who are, like Frank said, sleeping from place to place every night, even sleeping in their cars. Excuse me. So I think the most thing that we need to continue to do is make an awareness that this is happening and this is what's going on, and provide services for all these youth. Excuse me. So I know the courtyard would be an excellent fit for some of the homeless youth too that are coming out. Also, I'm sorry. Excuse me, with the transitional that I'm trying to do with Fields of Dreams, I'm trying to address those students who are high school students from the ages of maybe 15 to 18 years old. These students might not even qualify for the SAFI program because they don't have jobs yet. They can't even be emancipated because of that. But there are a number of students who are homeless and just need somewhere to stay in. What I found is that they need a bed, they need a shower, maybe a washer and dryer so they can wash their clothes, somewhere to study. So that's what I'm trying to put together in the city of Fort Wayne.
Definitely. Prevention is huge. It is huge, and we're very glad you're putting that together for us.
I think it's a great opportunity for, it can help the youth and it help the community as well. You know, we pick up where homeless people have a place to go, they feel comfortable and have an environment they feel safe. You don't have to worry about sleeping on the streets in a car. And such as the courtyard, I think it's a good avenue, you know, for to give them confidence in themselves and the ability to believe in themselves and be somewhere they can carry themselves. Right. And be able to be comfortable, have a living environment, and don't be able to, you know, be pushed out on the streets.
Thank you.
I echo the same things that has been said. When you talk 50,000, that means maybe for Fort Wayne about 2,500. And so we're not immune to those stats. Fort Wayne fits right in there. We have many shelters in the city, and they're needed. However, that is reactive, and we've talked about how to be proactive, and I think we'll talk about that more. So.
Yeah, definitely.
I just want to add one thing on that too. I think we have a great volunteer spirit in Fort Wayne, and the kids who we can identify or reach, I think they're in need of mentoring. And I come from a big brother, big sister background, and I see the power of that person out there or that couple out there who can take someone under their wing and help them figure out how to do certain things and support them when they fall back a little. And I think getting the word out to the community that there's this need, not obviously there's some financial need, but not looking at that, but looking at a commitment from individuals who, say at Safety, would be willing to work with one of the housing units or someone in that housing unit to be there and be available to help them, guide them, and form a bond, friendship. I think that's important. I think that's something there's so many people wanting to do in our community.
Yeah, and you touched on something very important, and the reason why we are all here today. We have a wonderful group of organizations in our community, but we need the members of our community to come to step forth and to help these organizations. We need volunteers to help our youth.
Absolutely.
Frank, Wellspring is well known for its youth summer camp, serving youth between 4 and 17 years, and averaging 300 attendees daily.
Yeah, in fact,
quite
we're
impressive.
at our midpoint this summer, and we've been averaging about 325, 330. Lots of kids from 4-year-olds who've never been anywhere, no school setting. In fact, when you opened up with schools out for summer, well, at Wellspring, school's in for summer, because we've dedicated ourselves and really put a lot of focus on learning in the summer. So the camp day starts at 8:30, goes till 1:30, and a lot of that time is formal learning: math, reading, critical thinking, and informal activities such as roving instructors on yoga, dance, music, visits to the library, field trips, all these things that we expose our kids to. And the kids who attend our free camp, 85% are from considered very low or extremely low income-wise by federal guidelines. So they can't afford to pay. So everything is free thanks to the community, and we provide transportation for about 70%. So their summer is one of interacting with other kids, having learning opportunities, because national data shows that kids from homes without resources, they have a learning loss in the summer. They hold their own in the school year, but in the summer they drop back, and by the time they're ready for high school, there's that gap is so large, and they attribute that gap to the summer. 2/3 of that loss is in the summer. And so whatever we can do or other organizations can do to continue to shore up and expose these kids to experiences is very valuable. So our camp is fun. I mean, I love to go and visit and see the engagement of the kids and the activity and the diversity. It looks like the United Nations when you visit our camp. 85% are from racial minorities. So there's a real mixture. We have a special program where we pick up Burmese kids out at Autumn Woods apartments, and it's a nice mixture of people attending our camp. So
that's fantastic, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful. As an educational nonprofit, we help a lot of individuals that come to us at a young age with middle school level, elementary school level reading and math skills. And so we know the importance of your organization, and we're very grateful.
I have one cute story. We had a kid who's awful young for being in our 4 and 5 grade grouping. Actually,
Right.
it's pre-K. We don't do it by age, we do it by grade. And we talked to him and we said, now, how old are you? He says, I'm 4 here, but at home I'm 3. So we had to. But his mom wanted to get him into
Right.
camp. And there he was, but a little too young.
Right.
It is estimated that 75% of homeless runaway youth have dropped out or will drop out of schools. What do you think are the implications in our community? Roger?
Well, we lose future employees and contributors to our community. These youth are a slice of the pie that make up the whole that affects Fort Wayne's future. Just without action, loss of education can lead to other harmful issues. So it's very
Definitely.
critical.
Thank you.
I believe, the lack of resources the youth are getting, that it's not helping them to succeed in life. And I believe that all these organizations we are with now that are helping these youth, to be somebody that, it'll push them and guide them to be somebody in life, be educated and, try to better themselves in life as well.
Right.
Absolutely, and again, in all my years, I have definitely experienced that youth that are in school who has dropped out because of homelessness, nowhere to go, no place to stay, nobody would take them in.
Right.
And they have, fallen through the cracks and through the system, so,
Yes.
and then they've gotten in trouble, and so now they're out there.
Yeah, and those are the individuals are most affected.
Absolutely.
I spent 35 years in Big Brothers Big Sisters. And I often deal with the question of kids and not being able to succeed and having issues. And I look at myself. I grew up in a very Italian neighborhood where everybody was watching out for me, and my path was fairly easy, because think of it as somebody running 120 hurdles, and people kept taking away some of the hurdles from me or lowering them.
Yeah.
So after about 4 hurdles, I was done. I reached my goal. But if I had all those hurdles and they stayed that high, I might have quit on the way. So I would tell people involved with Big Brothers that our kids that we deal with, nobody's out there reducing the size of the hurdles or eliminating some. So by the time they're trying to reach the end, they get tired or frustrated or lose that enthusiasm. So what can we do as a community? We can reduce or pave the way, let kids succeed. How can you do that? Well, I mentioned mentoring. I mentioned more emphasis on education early in life.
Right.
All these things we can do to eliminate as many of those barriers that many of us have been lucky to have other people do, but some of the kids we deal with don't have that extended family or that extra help. So I think that's the focus, is how can we address those issues from early on, early age,
Exactly.
and help those kids.
I just add that many of the kids that experience academic failure at an early age, again, they're subject to dropping out, which brings on a whole complexity of other issues that are compounded by many mental health issues. I think the latest stat was like 75% of kids in our juvenile institutions do suffer from mental health issues. Wow. So the kids that are dropping out are at high risk to becoming involved in the court system. They feel like they have nothing to lose. If you have nothing to live for, then we're creating a very, very violent environment of our young people that can get caught up in gang violence, and they see that as the only source of getting an income, and sometimes they feel pressure to get an income for their families, to keep utilities on or to put gas in a car. So creating a really difficult environment. So we need all of our agencies to step in and encourage them and increase their self-esteem.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, and again, that's where our community could step in and help all these organizations that are doing everything to prevent our youth from ending up somewhere not too great in the future. George,
Yes.
your facility is set to open soon. Will focus on transitional housing for underprivileged homeless or at risk of becoming homeless youth. Can you tell us a little bit about your programs?
Yes, well, soon to me, hopefully would be within next year, by next year or 2016. I have applied for my 501c3. My business, Fields of Dreams, is a nonprofit organization. So when applying, you have to do all this documentation, and you have to apply to the state. All that is done right now. I'm just waiting to hear back about my 501c3. Matter of fact, I'm supposed to get it here this month, the month of July. But then again, they says in the letter that if there's any issues, you might get it by October. So I'm new at this, and I'm learning a lot about this. So I'm glad to still be part of the community here, as volunteering as a community volunteer with all things that are involved in homelessness, to keeping me abreast of what's going on. But I know that there is a need for a shelter for this. I mean, again, it's kind of different than when I'm looking at my vision and what the courtyard has. I'm also going to be looking for staff, but I'd rather call them leaders, you know, and I myself is a leader. Even though I'm CEO and owner of this, I also call myself a leader, and I'm looking for leaders as I get this the ball rolling for that. So I know it's a need, and everybody hang in there is coming.
Good. And as I mentioned earlier, prevention is huge. It's a huge part of just the problem, solving the problem.
Absolutely. I'm trying to be a part to solve it.
As a fairly new nonprofit, we understand the process, and we're very glad that you're sticking in there and that you're very active in the homeless.
Having a passion for homelessness, and especially youth, has been part of me for many, many, many years. So, and that's the thing too with anyone, that if you have to have a passion for what you do for families, in particular homelessness, so, and I have been and still do.
Thank you. Denise, Vincent Village has programs that focus on physical, cognitive, social, and emotional development of youth through education and enrichment activities. Could you tell us about these programs?
Sure. I think we have great programs and services in Fort Wayne. Sometimes the coordination and connecting people who have no resources, they have no transportation, they really don't have the ability to manage multiple appointments, and we say, go here, go here, go here. So what we try to do is we bring all the services on site, and so it eliminates the lack of follow-through and the transportation issues for homeless families. So we have great partners that allow us to bring services on site. Headwaters Counseling provides weekly mental health counseling for our parents, as well as a youth group where we talk about coping and emotions and how to express yourself without being, without using violence. We also have Parkview Community Nursing on site every week, and they do a full family health assessment. So it's really important we identify the kids' health issues. They're at high risk. Homeless youth have, asthma. They have complex allergy issues. They have, other problems with immunity, anxiety, of course, and other issues from having been displaced from a home and not having a home for so many years. So we have lots of those issues that Parkview works with us to address. Fort Wayne Community Schools Title I program throughout the school year is with us doing tutoring Monday through Thursday. And then in the summer, we have a great partnership with the Renaissance Point YMCA, where our kids attend summer camp. Infants and preschoolers are in level 1 or higher daycare, and we provide all of that through our services. So really important, the intensity, because if we have kids living with us for a year or maybe longer, we have a chance to really dramatically change their life during that time, because many are developmentally several years below of where they should be. So our goal is to try to get them ready to learn in kindergarten, get them ready to learn when the school year comes, and instill that confidence in them.
Thank you, and I'm very glad you have a program that covers all the bases. That's quite important, and we understand the importance of collaborating with outside agencies. And how would you say volunteers from the community could come and help?
We have lots of opportunities. In fact, we do a volunteer night on July 15th. We'll be doing a volunteer training and orientation. We use volunteers for tutoring at our front desk. Many times we use some of the high school groups to clean out our houses and get them ready for another family that will be moving in. Landscaping, there's many needs, so it's an opportunity for somebody to use their talent and to give back and to help us instill the mission. It's a hand up, and everybody in their life has had had a time when you've needed a hand up. So think back to that, reach out to somebody in the community and say, I don't know you, but I'm compassionate and empathetic, and I want to help you change your life.
And that is vital. That is vital in order to have a very successful community. It is important that we look at our neighbors and feel the same thing we feel when we look at our families. So thank you very much. So in closing, how could individuals in our community make a difference in serving the impacted youth in Fort Wayne? Roger?
Well, I think what you just mentioned was a way to step up our community. Walk across your neighborhood when you see a need. You know, I Stand for One was the homeless campaign. And walk across, there's always churches and neighborhood associations are always looking for a way to locally help. Think small, think right in your neighborhood. You can change the city one neighborhood at a time. And there's just very likely a mission in our backyard.
Thank you.
In closing, I would say, like, my big saying is, you know, it takes a village, you know, to raise a child. And it takes organizations and it takes everybody giving back, you know, to help, you know, these youth and push them to where they could be at in life.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And what I have learned that an old saying is that we're all can be 2 paychecks away of being homeless ourselves. So having an understanding, listen to our youth, because sometimes most times, I had teenagers back when too that couldn't talk to me but talk to others, you know, so give them an ear, give them an understanding.
Exactly. Yes, and as you say, the youth will look for someone. Let that be you be the person that they go to.
Absolutely.
You give them the good advice instead of having them reach out somewhere else.
Absolutely.
I think there's a challenge on our organizations too to make it known of the need for homeless youth in our community. And then there will be a response, but I still think we can do a better job in getting that word out to show that need. I think it sort of gets lost because it's not so visible.
Right.
And so I think it's a challenge for us. The community will respond. There are plenty of people out there that want to help, but they got to know.
Right. Thank you.
I think your time and talent, but sometimes we also forget that others may not have a couch. They might not have pots and pans or dishes. And as we're trying to set up homeless families, many of our organizations need those kinds of gently used items. Towels, bed sheets. So be a blessing to somebody else and look at the things you have in your own house and how they can be a blessing to somebody else and become new again to a family who really needs those basic items to, you know, continue their livelihood in a new house coming out of homelessness.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us. Please visit the Homeless Coalition at hcftw.org or the Fort Wayne Area Planning Council on Homelessness at fwapch.org. I'd like to thank our panel for your expertise.
Thank you.
And please join us next month. Yep.